to what is called the mind. And nowadays, mind is one of the prime factor dealing with any types of medicine. It has come to that stage now. I think it was probably McGill University in Canada several years ago this thing started. What happens at sunrise, and they started measuring all that. No doubt, I mean, they have done a lot of work, but now I am limit myself to what is told in old knowledge. They do know. In all traditions, you will find people are asked to get up before sunrise. And the basic thing is, there is a basic change in our breathing exactly at sunrise. Whether you want it or not, whether you like it or not, it is there for every human being on the planet. And that is tied to the phase of the moon. We'll come to that a little later on. And if you are able to make a mini climate, wherever you are, it can be your house, it can be your garden, if you want to grow vegetables by this method. You make a mini climate, what is called medicinal healing climate. It has a wonderful effect, not only on this nervous system comes later on, but what is primarily called a nadi system, which is related to what you know the words kundalini or the chakra system. The first effect goes to that, and that has a reaction on the nervous system, and automatically your nerves get better. That is how it is described in the ancient science of medicine. So what do we do? After all, first of all, what is sunrise? In this ancient knowledge, see how sunrise is described. I'm only translating in English now how it is described. The coordinate of the planet, where the sun appears to rise, a flood of energy comes from the sun, which consists of several types of electricities and subtle energies. This is an inundation effect. There is a subtle music which accompanies this flood, and the quintessential sound of that music is given as the first morning Agnihotra mantra, which is a very simple thing. You can learn in a couple of minutes. It's as simple as that. So this effect lasts for a very short time band. And in that short time band, you have to do something in this pyramid. Now, how do you know that timing? There is a computer printout for Jackson, Mississippi, based on that particular day. Because again, there are several definitions of sunrise in the Vedas. What is sunrise and what is sunset? Mind you, they are using the words appearance of sunrise because sun does not rise, sun does not set. Because of the rotation, it's an appearance. But there are many definitions. Out of that, we are asked to use only one particular definition for healing. And that same definition for giving nutrition to plants, removing tension from the mind by practice of Agnihotra. So on that definition, the computer is programmed, so you can get in any hamlet, anywhere in the United States, you can get a free printout. It doesn't take time to do that. Only we have to know the location where it is. So here is the timing. What do we do at this time? Well, just a few minutes before that time which is given here, sunrise and sunset, prepare a fire in this pyramid. Now, copper and gold are the only two metals we are asked to use, and no other metal should be used. Copper and gold has healing properties, we all know. Many women use copper bracelets, you have seen. I remember in my childhood in India, just about 60 years ago, in villages, there was always the practice of keeping water in a copper vessel in the night and let all the radiations collect, and then in the morning you drink it from a copper cup. That was the practice, a common practice. Now it's gone, that practice. So copper and gold, and there is very little difference between the healing properties of copper and gold when used for the process of Agnihotra. Of course, there is a big difference in price. So we are talking about copper pyramid. In some poorer areas where they cannot afford copper, no other metal can be used. So next choice is earthen pyramid. But it has to be, the inner dimensions have to be exact. But once you have this copper pyramid, then it lasts a lifetime. So these particular steps, they are given exactly as it is. We all know nowadays, in the last 20-25 years, so much literature has come about pyramids, how pyramid power functions, how it has an effect on manipulation of energy, so I did not go into that. Here, we burn some interesting substances to prepare the fire. Remember that all these things are available anywhere on the planet, so you can just get it anywhere once you have the pyramid. How do we prepare the fire? To prepare fire, we use dried cow dung. Cow dung means male or female progeny of a cow, a dung from that animal. This is the one interesting thing about this. This is dry, so it doesn't smell. Very interesting to note that in all traditions all over the world, all the ancient traditions, cow dung is treated as an important medicinal substance in all medical practices. If you look at this country, for example, if you go to the Indians, for example, of this country, all communities of Indians, what are called different tribes, North, South America, North America, Canada, there are more women, what we call medicine people, practitioners than men among native Indians. You ask them and they will tell you that there are so many treatments based on wet cow dung. If you open books written in European languages at the beginning of this century, any European language, on folk medicine, you will find many pages on cow dung. If you go to Ayurveda, so much literature is available about cow dung. So, it was all over the world. In Africa, it is the same thing. Several years ago, I was walking through Mississippi, about more than 12 years ago, and I met some black farmers, and when I was talking about this thing, I was showing this thing, the person said, it is our practice to burn cow dung at sunset on the farm. And when I asked him, how do you do it? He said, it's an African tradition that we got from Africa into this country. Why do you do it? He says, it drives away the devils. The old science of Ayurveda tells us, if by using this cow dung in this particular process, it has an effect on pathogenic bacteria. Their procreation is affected. If somebody is a microbiologist, he can easily set up some observations and quickly see how this works. Of course, you have to do it at the right time. If you miss the time, then it will not work. It is nothing. It is a waste of time if you miss that time. Well, because what is in that time? Because we are told in this definition of sunrise, for example, that the coordinate of the planet where the sun appears to rise, a flood of energy comes from the sun, which consists of several types of electricity. That means a moment ago, the earth is rotating. A moment ago, it was not sunrise, and this moment it is sunrise. That means exactly at that moment is the big strike. Something strikes. And during that short time band, that is a part of the process. You are doing this. That means keep the fire ready a few minutes before that by using this. Second thing, this is clarified butter from the cow. So it has to be unsalted butter. So you have to get unsalted butter, then heat it. Tony will tell you how to do it. It's simple. You just heat it and pass it to a strainer. And this is what is called clarified butter. Third thing required is a little of rice. As little as you can hold in the tips of your fingers. Twice you have to put rice. One mantra, a little rice. Second mantra, a little rice. Take a little rice and put a little of this clarified butter apply it to the body of the rice. One mantra exactly at this time, of course. If you miss the time, the effect will not be there. Well, this rice also, there are some specifications. For example, the rice has to be unbroken rice. There is a special word in Sanskrit for unbroken rice, not the normal rice. Because if the rice is broken, the energy structure, the subtle energy structure around the rice is broken, and it cannot be used for this process of healing. It will not be useful for giving nutrition to plants in this process. So it has to be a full rice. That means full pieces of rice and not broken. The literal etymologically, the word means rice on the body of which there is no wound. Unwounded rice, that means it is not broken. That is etymologically. So these are the only things required. And you practice this, and you will find in 1 week how the tension disappears. Now you will see there is a mounting tension. One may have all things in life. Everything might be just what one might call comfortable. But there is absolutely no peace of mind. Everything, tension. Everything, as we say, the nerves are frayed. Why? Because it is the effect of the atmosphere. All the toxins are in the atmosphere. There is so much of violence. There is so much of noise pollution. There is so much of acoustic toxins around the planet. Why I mention acoustic toxins? Because how to get away with this pollution from, there are methods told. And for that, acoustic toxins are mentioned in this ancient knowledge. On certain points on the planet, for example, certain channels are to be created. I mean, they are done automatically. And that is how the planet is going to be saved. And from there, by certain mantras and certain of these processes, automatically, the description goes like this in old science. The ultraviolet, which comes through this filter, that filter means ozone, which comes through it, when it strikes the earth, it should pass through a nutritional feed. By practicing this around the earth, if it's practiced in 1,000 places, for example, you create a nutritional layer around that place, and the ultraviolet strikes through a nutritional field it passes through. Then, what is required by this planet is kept here, and what is not required, of course, it is taken by other planets, and again it is reflected. So now it is a toxic reflection, as we find today, according to old science. This is toxic reflection. By the way, today it's a big problem with this acid rain. Already what has gone into the atmosphere, it is enough, the scientists tell us, even if we stop all the factories and all automobiles, what has already been the damage done to the atmosphere, it is enough to bring acid rain for the next few years. And the scientists tell us, if there is acid rain for the next 3 years, all the 6 inches of soil all over the planet will become acidic. That means nothing will grow. This has already started happening in Eastern Europe. The food production is half. By the way, there are thousands of people in Eastern Europe who practice this. Because of this, they see the effect immediately, removal of tension. This can be used for healing. This can be used for gardening. You can grow wonderful garden. You will be not only surprised but shocked how these things work, because these things work on subtle energies. What happens? The description in the science of agriculture, given through the Vedas, the description. These are the commentaries by ancient masters, ancient gurus, who have done about this process. They tell us that the moment you utter this mantra exactly at this time in this short time band, that means you do this process of Agnihotra, then so long as the flame is going on, it takes a few minutes. So long as the flame is going on, there will be an aura energy field around each and every blade of grass that grows in the vicinity. That means there will be thousands of aura energy fields where there is a tree, a shrub, a bush, or grass. And that will also last only for that short time while this flame lasts years. Then nutrition from above the planet is thrust towards this pyramid. This is the effect of all that different types of electricity and subtle energies, the mantra and the resonance effect. So a nutrition is brought towards this pyramid, and when it comes down, after doing this process of Agnihotra, it gets caught up into these thousands of aura energy fields around these plants, and that is why plants become happy. What we see is plants grow wonderfully. If there is disease, the disease becomes less. If you are doing this in your apartment, you can tell your friends you have started a free clinic for sick plants. You bring your plants for 2 weeks and they will get better automatically. You just give them normal water, in your house, normal what you will do, But let this Agnihotra atmosphere be there. and you give a little of this ash, a little, you will see how wonderfully they improve. You can ask them to take back the plants in 2 weeks. Automatically, nothing is required. The ash from this process is something very, very special, as told in the ancient science of Ayurveda. Extremely special. But mind you, when I say in this process, that means you have to, the timing and exactly, this, you have to do the process at time, in that time band only. It is so medicinal. The whole healing system based on this is developed by doctors in Germany. Actually, what was formerly West Germany. All they have, for several years they have been working. It started like this. Something was told that this is an ancient Ayurvedic method, so try, especially the dermatologists, they find great problems now because of all the polluted conditions of the atmosphere. So they started first using it with cats and dogs. You know, there is cat skins and some trouble. Then they started using it on human beings, and such wonderful cures take place. Sometimes you can see a video about it, all developed by these doctors in Germany. It's a folk medicine, nothing is sold, you just do it yourself. That's how it works. And this is given in the ancient science of Ayurveda. Of course, as you know, practically it costs nothing. If you make a little effort, Jerry will tell you how to correct this cow dung and how to keep this into this. Because there are thousands of people in this country who practice it, and of course many of them are lazy, staying in big cities, they don't want to go out and bring this. Now this is sold at a very high price, sent by UPS, and packed in beautiful packages like cookies, you know, and nice parcels. And round the clock, this thing is going on. These furnaces are going on because in winter it's difficult at that time. But it's very easy. You can just, you go out for a day and you will have it for several months. It's as simple as that. Jerry will tell you. So this is that process of Agnihotra. It's a wonderful tool. You bring about a change in the atmosphere, and automatically that has an effect on the mind. Your mind becomes full of love. You will find in your own apartment, as if from nowhere, love appears. As if from nowhere. If you practice it for some time, then you will see somebody comes to your house, he will feel something there. He will not know what it is. Something, and he would like to go away. He feels such a relief. If you have a parakeet or a parrot or some singing bird, canary, singing bird, in 3 months the voice of the singing bird improves. You know, if you have fish aquarium in the house, you put a little ash into that fish aquarium, and you will see the number of progeny of the fish increases. And if it's a tropical fish, you will see the change in their color also, because they become happy. All the plants become happy, and they give a feedback effect of love. A time comes when you will find it so difficult to get angry. What a wonderful thing. What cannot be achieved by years of efforts and by reading hundreds of books is just automatically achieved. That means this is a great process to help us go into what we call a vicious cycle, into a virtuous cycle. What is that vicious cycle? I know something is bad, I don't want to do it, but the body and mind pulls me into doing it. This is the vicious cycle, and I reap as I sow. That law is there. Moment again I listen that this is not correct and I go on doing it, then grace is always there. Grace does not depend on your intellect. It is there the moment your mind becomes pure. Okay, follow this, and grace of God takes 10 steps for you, only if you take even 1 step for it. That is how it works. Anyway, we have to use this as a tool for growing food. The details could be shown here. The farm, Jerry and Tony, they have a farm in Alabama. Anyone can learn those techniques how to do it. But if you do this in your apartment, you will feel a great relief. Actually, somewhere now it is absolutely necessary that healing places should start, community healing places, something like a healing co-ops, you know, where some people take turns. There are some other fires also, and they have a specific effect on full moon, no moon. Just as full moon has a special effect on the ocean, you can see that. Similarly, it has an effect on the mind. So how to make use of that energy for healing the mind? So this is the science of medicine. The Fivefold Path which is the basis of given in the Vedas, which is the basis of all religions, all scriptures, all gurus, all avatars, all saints. In that, first is train the mind to be full of love. This is the aim. That the same thing as be thou perfect as thy Father in heaven is perfect. How to do it? Thou art born in the image of thy Father, no doubt. But that potential, how to make it active from the potential stage, how it becomes active. So first thing is take help of this, especially now when things are so polluted. Even if you want to be good, you find it difficult to be good. There is so much of quarreling, fighting everywhere, so much of violence, so much of addiction. So here you create a mini climate, you become happy. The moment you become happy and full of love, the divine utilizes you as a tool to help other people. That's how it, and your karma is worked out. That's how it happens. So this is the first thing on that fivefold path. Second thing is what is called dana. Well, the same Sanskrit word in several European languages. Da means to give. Donner in French, similar in Spanish and all English languages are similar for da. That means share your assets in a spirit of humility. How to do it? You have to do it not for name or fame. If you do it for name and fame, you will get name and fame. But that is not going to help your mind. It might be even an obstacle on the spiritual path. If you do it like that, you might get more entangled. So from the vicious circle, let us go into a virtuous circle. That always doing the good thing, all the time doing good karma. But at the same time, we are all attached to that karma. But at least we are doing good karma. Instead of doing bad thing, we are doing a good thing. And we are attached to it. This is a virtuous circle. Then the next step is to get out of that virtuous circle also. That means doing good things without expectation of name, fame, or reward. That is, do it in secret, let your left hand not know what your right hand does, and that type of thing. Automatically, you start walking on an escalator of grace. So these are some of the things in what is called the mind training program given in this ancient Vedic knowledge, which is common to all teachings. So you may be practicing any types of meditations, you say, or maybe your guru, whatever be your religious practice, your spiritual practice, you continue with the same thing, nothing to be changed. You introduce this ancient process of Ayurveda. You try to grow your food by this method. And why not? It doesn't cost you anything and wonderful results. Your soil becomes better and happy also. And that will have an effect on your mind and your life will get better by using this material tool. So this is about Agnihotra.